All right, welcome back to the Justin Prince Show. Today's episode is going to be off the charts. I have one of my dear friends. You know, it's funny. It's like, who do the mentors go to when they need mentoring? The man you're going to hear from today is someone that I go to, someone that I pay, someone that I kind of bend his ear when I need some mentoring. So when I need some coaching, we've done. I would pay him, like for example, with speaking. I'd pay him. I said, hey, listen. I'm only going to use you a couple times, literally for maybe an hour here and there, a couple times a year. Here's a chunk of cash. When I call you, I need you because I'm going to polish, just to like buff out the edges, you know, and just, this is just someone that I really turn to for that level of expertise, you know. When you meet Woody Woodward, I think he's lived like 40 lives. It's the craziest thing. He's just accomplished all these crazy things and these wild, incredible ups and these challenging downs, and he's honest and open and authentic about it. And, you know, he and I have been friends now for, man, you know, a decade plus.
Like 10
you know,
years.
and just,
Yeah.
I was going to say decade plus, and he's a good friend. He's kind of what I would call like a ride or die, someone I would turn to, you know, in your dark moments and say, hey, Woody, what do you think? You know, so he's mastered I'm going to call it a sales process, but I feel like it's more than that. You're going to learn about this today. But it's really kind of like a way to get into your heart and into your mind and to help you to go to the next level in your life. It's a process he calls DRIVE, which is an acronym, the DRIVE. But I want to have you, you know, kind of break that down for you, because this is some next level stuff that over literally the last 20 years, and he's taught this all over the world, but over the last 20 years, he's found this formula, this concept to help you know what drives you or what moves you, and most importantly, how to go from where you are to where you want to be. And so, Woody, man, what an honor to be on with you, brother. I appreciate you making this time.
So good to be here. Oh, sorry. So good to be here with you, brother. I can't wait to just get into it because you and I could talk for hours. So you give me a topic you want to go down what rabbit hole, and let's just dive in.
We talked about your 40, you know, there's 40 lives that you've lived. Let's just start there, because I think you have this very interesting, I don't know, you've been in like consumer toys. You are an author. You're a world-class speaker. you know, like you and your son with rings. You know, you guys build a whole multi-million-dollar business with rings. So just walk us through some of this crazy background that you have and all these incredible things that you've done, these ups, these downs. Just walk us through, you know, kind of catch us up a little bit.
I'll give you the elevator pitch of Woody Woodward. So dropped out of high school at 16, millionaire at 26, broke at 27. That's a whole different story for a different day. Then got into mortgages and real estate. And previously, where I made my first money, like you said, was in toys. So I had a toy company. We'd taken it public. And then the whole dot-com dot bomb of 1999 happened, leveled us, lost everything, rebuilt in mortgages and real estate. And then 2006, I saw the housing bubble crash coming. We had mortgage offices in 7 states. We're doing $100 million a year in transactions. And I thought, there's no way this ride's going to keep going. We jump out, and I get into speaking and training, end up writing 42 books, and then did infomercials, movies, all in the personal development space. And then in 2019, my wife and I said, let's sell everything we have and go travel the world. Let's just take Drive and we'll go travel the world. So January 1, 2020, we sell everything to travel the world. We hit all the Caribbean islands, we get into Florida, and then COVID hits. And we get trapped in Florida. So, I mean, I love Florida, but most people don't want to be trapped in Florida. And in the next 18 months of COVID, we lived in 7 houses. We kept thinking, okay, we'll rent an Airbnb for 3 months, then we'll go to Paris. We couldn't get out. During that time, my son is like, Dad, I'm bored. You know, he's 17 years old. He's not going to school. He's like, let's do something. I'm like, what do you love? I love fashion. He's like, great, let's do some jewelry. And we did 7 figures our first year. And all I did was took everything I knew from personal development and sales, applied it to his online social media platform, and we blew this thing up. And it was, you know, published in New York Times and Dubai and all around. And at the end of all of it, oh, and I filed bankruptcy. I've been on food stamps, you name it. I've gone through it. Um, to me, the real process of life isn't what you have, it's what you can overcome. Because what you have is the result of what you've overcome. So I don't care. Like, I'll turn to my kids and I'll ask them, why am I proud of you? And it's a patent answer. I've asked them since they're 8 years old, because I tried. I don't care if you have 6 figures in your bank account at age 17. Could care less. I care that you got up and you tried, because at the end of the day, all you have is what you tried for. outcomes nowadays with social media and with leverage that we can with our finances, your outcomes are irrelevant to me. But did you try and did you overcome yourself in the process? And you are a champion of that. Your book, Be the One, is all about that. So that's why I think I resonate with you so much. You try and you try and you try. You teach your kids to try. You teach your teams to try. And to me, that is the epitome of life is what did you try for?
Yeah, it's so funny when you say that. I've taught people. You hear this idea of like dare to dream, and listen, maybe there is like some courage it takes to dream, to dare to dream. I think that's maybe fair, but I'm like, man, don't dare to dream, dare to try, dare to
Yeah.
fail, like dare to like move forward and like put put yourself out there and go for it and lose, and have the pain of failure as well as the, hopefully the glory of victory. Let's talk about trying. I'm going to
Wouldn't
shift
you?
gears right into. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just going to ask this question really quick. Wouldn't you agree that you learn more from failure than you've ever learned from success?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah. Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx, she said her dad would always come home and say, "What did you fail at this week?" And at the end of the week, if they didn't have an answer of what they failed at, he was actually mad at them. And that shifted her entire brain to say, "Oh, the trying is what is success. Is you just try, you try, you try. You learn from the mistakes, and that's how you do become successful."
Okay, I want to hit you with this because I want to hear your take on this. Uh, we're trained as kids. As you hear your story has ups and it has downs and it has ups and it has downs, and you're honest about all of them, and it's just part of this journey that you've been on. And I think a lot of us are trying to have our ups. We want to, have no downs. If you're in a down right now, you're like, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, I understand. But it's all part of the overall journey. And, as kids, we're taught that basically failure equals pain. So in other words, failing is bad. So if you shoot the shot and you miss and the team loses, you feel like a failure and the team loses. And so it's, you feel like you let the team down. Or if you fail at your job and you get let go and you can't pay the apartment payment, your rent, then you feel like you're failing as a provider. And so we try and avoid this pain. We try and avoid failure. And when you get thrown into entrepreneurship or into high performance, it's like failure is not a person. It's so in other words, it's an event, not a person, and it's fertilizer. So it's like your success grows in the fertilizer of failure. So it's not final; it's fertilizer. You are like the ultimate example of this. Like, how did you shift that mindset of like, no, I'm going to try this, and then I'm going to try that, and then I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try this, and keep overcoming the failure, the pain of failure, to say that's actually how I get to where I want to be.
Yeah, I have a completely different mindset on failure. I don't see any negative side effect to failure. Like legitimately, I see no negative side effect. In fact, I welcome it because it's information. I need to know what information I'm missing. So the quicker I can, and I hate using use the word failure, but I'll use it for this context. The faster I can fail at something, it gave me information that, oh, that didn't work. What's next?
Yeah.
So I couldn't read until I was 19 years old. So to me, I didn't have options like going to college, getting a degree, and having a normal job. So I've always made my money hustling. And what I learned through that is what I call the business behind the business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. There is a business behind that business that makes it profitable. So I've learned that simple hack is interviewing people, studying that, trying it to figure out how to make it money. I'll give you a case in point. When we lost everything the first time, we're living in my parents' basement. We're totally broke, and my wife was processing loans, and we had to put $900 for this credit card or for this mortgage processing software. It might have been $1 million. Like we were just that broke. 6-month-old child. It was horrific. And she's getting paid about $3,500 a month for processing loans. And I wasn't employed at the time. I didn't have a new business. And I would go hand the checks to the loan broker. And these checks were like $5,000 per loan. And he was a football coach at the local high school. And I turned to my wife like, why does he make the $5,000 per loan? And that's like 4 or 5 loans a month. You're making $3,500 a month. She said, oh, because he got the loan, I did the work. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me if I go get the loan, I know nothing about mortgages, but if I go get the loan, we make that much? Just, yeah. The first month we made 7,500. Second month, 15 grand. Third month, 25 grand. By month 5, we're at 75 grand. because I learned the business behind the business. I didn't know anything about mortgages. I wasn't good at anything. I just learned the business behind the business. When you and I talk about, speaking on stage, there are so many levels of the business behind the business. But you can have a six-figure hour easily on stage if you know the business behind the business. So to me, the discovery of all the failures is just trying to find that code of the business behind the business.
Hmm. So let me ask you this question. When you couldn't read until, did you say 19?
19.
Dropped out of school at 16.
Yep.
What, I don't want to lead you with this, so tell me, if you didn't have any of these, tell me. But what insecurities did you feel like you were feeling at that time? You're still a young kid, you're 16 years old. In this case, you're 19 years old, and you're struggling to read. I mean, what kind of insecurities did you feel like you were facing, and how did you overcome those? Like, how did you work through those? Because one thing about you, and this goes back to your thing about, like, I'm willing to fail, I'm willing to try. You have kind of almost like a childlike confidence. And I say that with total,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's almost like in the scriptures, Jesus says, like, to be like a child. So he's saying it like it's
Yeah.
the most positive, very curious, a kid's willing to try anything. Like, let's go, let's do this, You have like a childlike enthusiasm and a childlike curiosity, and you have like a childlike, bravery to just go try stuff. Sometimes as an adult, you're like, I don't want to, what is everyone going to, as a kid, you're just like, let's go ride the bikes. What insecurities did you feel like you were facing as you were going through some of that with school, with reading, as a younger, when you were in your younger years?
I was a hot mess. Like it was horrible. I tried to commit suicide at age 16. I was severely depressed. I've struggled with depression my entire life. That's what helped me to discover drive was to overcome my own insecurities, my own adversities. So I had asthma growing up, so I was extremely slow. I couldn't, last kid picked on the playground, couldn't read, failed out of school, got kicked out. I got kicked out of two middle schools. It was a rough childhood, and it was all self-imposed. I mean, my parents were good people. I just had a rough time. So, and I remember talking to my brother. My brother, who just passed away last year, was the CEO of ClickFunnels. A lot of people know ClickFunnels, and he was business partners with Russell. And I remember before that relationship evolved. His name was Dave, and Dave was highly educated, multiple degrees. I said, Dave, you know what your problem is? You have options because you're struggling to be a doctor or an entrepreneur. I have zero options. The
Mm,
only option I have is I can hustle, and I am not afraid to fail because I have failed my entire life. And I like that example of the childhood curiosity because I still have it. Like you'll notice, I got Legos, toys.
totally,
Like it's just
totally,
my personality. It's like
totally.
I am a hot mess, and I'm 100% okay being a hot mess out loud because through studying human behavior and writing the books, I've realized we're all crazy. Like if you look up the definition of crazy, it's wildly excited. We are all wildly excited, but we hide it behind our identity. I have no identity that I'm trying to protect because I don't
Mm.
think I'm smart. I don't think I'm a millionaire. I don't think I'm a successful entrepreneur or speaker. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm still a hot mess trying to figure it out every day, and I got no issues with that.
Oh, bro, it's so good. That's so good. All right, let's talk about insecurities for a second. Let's kind of dive one more level deep. So,
Oh, I love it. This is a great topic.
yeah, you and I were part of a little mastermind group together, and we literally got, this is whatever it was, 6, 7 years ago. A couple of us together, 4 or 5 of us would meet once a month. Man, I pulled a ton from that. It's funny, you look at all of us now, all of our careers have kind of gone, we've all leveled up in our lives.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one day specifically where you weren't on social. We were talking about social media somehow. We were like, how do you level up on social
Yeah.
media? And the four of us were all kind of going hard at social. And I don't even think you even had an account at this point at all, like at all.
Website. Yeah.
You didn't have a website, right?
Your website.
Yeah, you were still, crushing the game, but
It's
it was.
still the website. I
By the
do
way,
social stuff.
just to build some context, we're at Woody's house, at this beautiful home. I don't know the full square footage, but just an awesome, cool, interesting, fun home. He has a Ferrari out in the garage. I mean, he's living a good life, right, at this point. And one of the guys just starts challenging him hard on social, like what's wrong with you? What's the underneath stuff? And by the way, if I'm being completely candid, not that the questions were so bad, but the tact was probably not awesome. and to a point where I was almost like, this guy's acting like a complete dick. I mean, if I'm being just totally truthful, right?
It was.
And so and so I called Woody after, and I think he basically said, if that dude comes back, I'm not, I'm done, which was probably fair. And I said to him, I said, listen, bro, I said something to the effect of, I almost wanted to call and apologize, not that I had anything to do with it, but just the way he acted, right? So anyway, you and I had a conversation that day, that turned into you getting into social, and you and your son just built your whole, your and his, but in this case, his whole fashion ring business on social. So walk us through that. What were some of the things that were holding you back from sharing this gift that you have with the world, with more people at least, right? More publicly. And then how did you overcome that?
First of all, it's you. Like, I got to give credit where credit's due. You called in the Justin way you always do, with heart first, love, consideration. Like, Woody, you're holding yourself back from allowing other people to experience you. So I've always done high-end one-on-one coaching. So I don't have a website, I don't have any socials. If you have my cell number, you have me, and it's all referral. And I did that for 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And the kindness, and you're gonna get me choked up, the sweetness that you were that moment. And you're like, hey, bro, people need you. And you're denying them the opportunity. That was what I call, and in Drive, it's called the reassociation. You relabeled the value of being online. That day I went online, changed my life, helped me understand the power of social. And I had started with social media when it first came out. Someone stole my identity, proposed to 3 women. So I'm like, no way. I'm very protective of my family. Shut it all down, take all pictures off. That's why I got off. So I've been off for over 10 years. But now when I go on, I don't post anything of my family or my lifestyle or anything. It's just business and connections. But then when my son, when we were in Florida, he said, Dad, I really want to, change the world. And it's just his, that genre, they're very much into social media. At the time, he had like 250,000 followers. I said, great. He goes, I know Drive works. I've used Drive my entire life. Can I use Drive on social media? And I love to experiment. I'm like, absolutely. So you'll notice the DRIVE, there's 5 personalities: directors, relators, intellectuals, validators, and executives. And think of it like a language. If you go to France and you don't speak French, you're not going to be able to communicate. So there's 5 communication languages. So I said, hey, let's just make a video and hit all 5 drives. That one video ended up increasing he got like 2.5 million views, increased his, doubled his following up to 556,000 people. And then I said, okay, now you have an audience. This is the business behind the business. What product do you want to sell? Then we did these rings. And in 6 months, he got up to 1 million followers, and now he's at 1.8 million. And collectively, we did all of our videos based on Drive. We have over 250 million views on all of our videos. Now, that's 250 million. That never would have happened. And I mean sincerely, Justin, had you not called me. And this is the power of what you do. And the power of this show is you inspire people to be their best version of themselves. And now I love social and I love helping people and I love being able to branch out, that I've changed my entire model. Once again, because of your call, I'm no longer doing one-on-one. I'm no longer doing group. Now I'm doing mass quantity to help the masses. So thank you. Bottom of my heart, it wouldn't have happened without that call.
Yeah, I love that. So let's go back. It was a reassociation. That is so powerful. I wanted the reassociation of either what things mean to you, or maybe even reassociating your own identity. Like, if I do this, it means I'm this, but maybe I update my identity and it actually means I'm this. Is that, dive into reassociation for a minute. Like, what does that mean?
So
how do we do that?
And everyone should write this down. And I'm going to repeat it twice. Behavior will not change until the reassociation occurs. Behavior will not change until the reassociation occurs. Best way to explain it is this analogy. A battleship was coming in off the coast of Maine. Foggy night. Saw an oncoming light. The captain said, hey, signal a light, move 10 degrees to the east. Light came back, no, you moved 10 degrees to the west. Now he's feeling a little egotistical. He's a captain. He's like, I'm a captain, move 10 degrees east. Light came back. I'm a third-class seaman, move 10 degrees to the west. Now he's feeling justified. And this is what we always do with our ego and our pride. I'm a battleship, move 10 degrees to the east. Light came back. I'm a lighthouse, move 10 degrees to the west. That reassociation, the captain instantly saw the value of moving 10 degrees to the west was going to save his battleship. instead of getting smashed on the rocks of the coast of Maine. So behavior never changes. Identity never changes until the reassociation occurs. So in the buying sales process, in the relationship process, raising the kids process, dealing with your own identity and your insecurities. So I've had a reassociation throughout my life that failure is necessity for me to succeed. And I want the failure. Like I genuinely look for it every day. There's a great book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Has over I think it's 150,000 5 stars on Amazon. It's insane. There's a quote in that book that changed my life. What pain are you willing to sustain? And I think about you, and I remember one time you and I were in San Diego. And for those of you who listen, this is my first like real Justin moment. We're in San Diego. I'm at a seminar. He's at a seminar. We connect. We're going down to rent a boat to go cruise around the harbor. He's with somebody else, and he challenges him to a push-up contest on the dock. I'm losing my mind. I think this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And like in 60 seconds, he's doing like so many push-ups. It was like 5 minutes. He blew this kid out of the water. I'm like, whoever this guy is, I gotta hang with him because he's crazy. So in those moments, we have associations and we have reassociations. So you have perfected your body. You did that because you were willing to sustain that amount of pain. So anyone who's ever achieved something physically can handle a certain amount of pain. Intellectually, emotionally, sexually, physically, you got to figure out what pain you're willing to sustain and love it. So for me, it's human behavior. I will study anything on human behavior. I've read literally over 2,000 biographies, watched hundreds of documentaries. My websites have interviewed tens of thousands of people. I'm addicted to the pain of helping other people not feel pain.
I want to point something out as he's speaking. And this is for all of you who are looking to increase your communication skills. Let me see if I can identify something for you. Woody shared with me a principle years ago. He may have been a quote from someone else, but this principle I learned from him. He said, every point, so like if you make a point, right? Every point should have a story, and every story should have a point. Like, do you notice how he tells these stories, and he starts the lighthouse, and he tells the story of, to talk about reassociating, and he tells a story about the push-ups, talk about pain. There's great communication style happening as we have this conversation, and I just want you to pick up on it and just acknowledge it and notice it, so that sometimes people tell a story, but it never really lands. It's like they don't ever land the ship and make the point. Sometimes people make points, but they don't tell stories, and people remember the stories. Yeah. So, my friends, just watch how he does this. Every story has a point. Every point has a story. This is what happens when you're a really master communicator. And when he talks about 2,000 biographies, this is not a joke. This dude is this is one of the reasons he and I try and get into his mind and pull from him. I'll call him, hey, Woody, I'm working on, basically this point. What do you think? And he'll go, okay, that's an interesting point. And he'll give me, 7 or 8 different stories to help validate the point. By the way, talk about reassociation. Check this out. I'm shifting gears on speaking here for 2 seconds, but this is important. I had a story that I told that I always would land the story making this point. And one time we were in your office and you go, that's a great story. You go, you should tell that. And I go, yeah, but that story makes this point. And you said, no, it doesn't have to make that point. I mean, this sounds so silly to me now. At the time, it was such a breakthrough. You go, just take the off-ramp over here and make a different point. In other words, same story, same flow, just make a different point. And as parents, when you're raising these kids, you might need to use some of those stories you have, but just make different points. It's like you don't end on this note, you end on that note. You make a different point. So it's a really great part of your reassociation. You and I came and spoke, I think I've done it a couple times now, but I came and spoke for some of your masterminds. You did one up in Park City, Utah. This was legit at a castle. And guys, when I say a castle,
not like a castle in Park City.
A big house. This was literally a castle, right? Like this had like the Beauty and the Beast rose in it. I mean, the thing looked like it was a real castle. And I got to meet your wife there. I got to meet a bunch of the people that you train and mentor there. And one of the things about you is I know that family is, your wife and kids is such an important part of your life. How do you feel like you find, everyone's looking for that work-life balance, right? Like, how do you find that balance? How do you feel like you do it? What are some of the strategies how do you find in this case, your wife's drive, your kids' drive? How do you apply some of this stuff to where you keep your marriage together and go chase your dreams and goals?
So communication is paramount. So there's no balance. Balance does not exist. That's a fictitious story that we tell ourselves. What we do though is they know the workload. So as of tomorrow night, I'm coming off of a 90-day, 60, 80-hour work week every single week for 90 days straight. But then we'll go take 2 weeks off and we'll go to Europe or we'll go travel. Like the summer, we took off the summer and we went 2 months in Europe. But so what we do is we work crazy, crazy, crazy hard, and I'm on 80 hours a week. And then I take a break and I put all my time in them, and they are part of the discussion. So my wife knows every client I've ever had. She knows every dollar in every account. It's always been transparent. And I'll always ask her, I basically ask for permission or buy-in from her. Hey, I'm going to go do this new project. We're launching a new company on March 22nd. It's going to take me 80 hours a week for 6 months straight. Are you in? If it works, this will be the new lifestyle. Here's the new opportunity. Here's what's going to happen. If it doesn't, it was still fun that we tried. Are you in? And she's like, all in every time. Because she knows that when I'm off, I have her 100%. So I'm just coming to the very tail end of it. I got one more night tomorrow night, but I called her today. I'm like, hey, will you do lunch with me? So I'm fitting her into that schedule. She's going to drive to the office. We're going to have lunch. It'll be great. So the kids are the same way. My kids have grown up in the business. They understand the business. My son, who's now my cinematographer, he now does all the filming for me. My other son, we had a jewelry company together because he grew up realizing we're going to hustle like crazy and then we're going to take a break. We're going to sprint and then we're going to take a break. And we're going to heal and then we're going to recover and then we're going to do it again. So I've never done 9 to 5. I've never done anything normal. But it's that transparency and communication. They know they're the most valuable thing to me. They know this is why I'm doing it is for them. And we just make sure that everyone's getting their drives met and they feel validated.
Yeah, let me hit you with two ways I think of this, Woody. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So two thoughts. Number one, imagine you have a scale of 1 to 10 on communication and specifically on expectations. If Woody expects a 5 and his wife expects an 8, wherever you have gaps in expectations in any of your relationships, whether it's with your employees, with your team, with your kids, with your spouse, your investors, etc., wherever there's gaps in expectations, the gaps are where all the frustration, the stress, the anxiety, the pressure lies. It lies in the gaps. How do you close the gaps? You close it through good communication. So you're always looking to close all the gaps. Your wife expected an 8. You thought it was a 5. You say, what if we did this? What if I could step it up? What if I could deliver a 7? She goes, okay, cool. You deliver 7. I'll lower mine. I understand where you're at. I understand the demands you have. Cool. We're all on the same page, right? So that's kind of a simplistic way to think about it. The second thing I want to hit you with is this. So it's the same thing that it's so funny. We've never had this discussion, but I do kind of a similar thing. It's what I call enlisting your family. Those of you that are out there chasing dreams, chasing goals, maybe living a little bit of a different life than someone that's just working a 9 to 5. And I'm not putting down the 9 to 5, but you're like, maybe you turn on the midnight oil at night, right? Because now you go to work on your other project, or man, you're waking up really early to go chase that goal or that dream. Okay. How do you do all this stuff? One of the strategies is what I call enlist your family. Woody just talked about this. He's closing those expectation gaps with good communication with his wife and with his kids. But then the business is not your business, mom. It's not your business, dad. It's our business as a family. You're enlisting him. So, and Woody, the way that I look at it is this. I'll sit him down. I've done this a zillion times. I'll sit him down and say, look, dad's got to go hard for this period of time. This is what's happening. To your point, here's some potential upside, guys. Here's how I think it could, positively affect our family. Here's what's going on. If we lose, you're going to watch me lose. We're going to lose together. And then you say, but you know what? If mom gets these 5 customers, we're gonna go to the park, no phones, you and me, push on the swings, hang out for 2 hours on Friday. Are you cool? They go, Mom, I can't wait. Or you say, we're gonna take it ice cream, or we're gonna go to Disneyland, or whatever. And again, you could go from no money spent to as much as you want, right? But the idea is, mom needs your help. Can you help me get these 5 customers, kids? And they say, Mom, yeah. Guess what happens, guys? It's Wednesday afternoon and you're sitting there scrolling around on social media and your kids come home from school and they go, Mom, how many customers do you have? You say, I have 3. Well, Mom, get to work. We need 2 more. I want to get ice cream this weekend. So the point is now it's not your business. It's our business. It's the family business. And Woody, I think you've done a great job, an amazing job, you and your wife together, of creating this environment where the kids are living the business with you. It's not, we resent dad 'cause he works his butt off. It's more of like, yo, dad, we're chasing some family goals, some family dreams, and you've done an incredible job of enlisting them. So tell me your thoughts on communication gaps, just as how that hit you, and then also this idea of enlisting, just the way that I would kind of frame it or look at it.
It's funny because you and I do love our families the same way. We've raised them the exact same way, and we use the same terminology. And you know what? We've never had this discussion. I have a whole training on expectations versus standards. And I'll tell you this great story where I discovered it. So I met my wife on a Wednesday. We went out Friday and Saturday, and I proposed on Sunday. And this year we're going to hit 29 years. So very spontaneous. I'm very driven. I know what I want. I just ask for it. So we're married within like 4 months of knowing her. I'm married to her.
Bro,
so
I
5 months of being.
I got to stop you and say something. I met Missy on Tuesday. On Sunday, I proposed. I told her, I go, I'm going to marry you for sure. I'm like, I don't know when, but I'm going to marry you. And 3 months of the day we met, we were married. I didn't know this connection point.
Story.
What is wrong with us? I tell people, like, look, maybe you should take a little bit more time. It worked great for us. We're 21 years in. It's all good, but maybe you should take a little more time.
So that's so funny. I did not know that. So we're married maybe 5 months, and I'm having dreams of cheating on my wife. Now that's not my personality. So I go to my wife, I'm like, babe, I'm so sorry. Like, I've only known her 9 months collectively. And I'm like, I'm having these dreams. I'm so sorry. I don't know what. She goes, me too. I'm like, oh, you whore, how dare you? We're joking about it. And I said, okay, let's start a standard. You can cheat anytime you want, but the second you do, you don't come back home. You leave the keys on the counter, the car in the garage, the dog in the apartment, the clothes in the closet, the money in the bank account, you just leave. But you can cheat anytime you want. So what we realize is if you set a standard and it has a very negative penalty, then you have to have an equal amount of reward. So we have read everything about intimacy, and we're very intimate in our personal life. I protect her. I don't flirt. You'll never see me ever anywhere doing anything inappropriate that would sacrifice my love for my wife. Never has happened. So we started realizing this, that expectations without implementation equals frustration. So you and I are in a business relationship. I expect you to show up a certain way. You don't show up that way. I'm the only one left frustrated. Standards are totally different. Like, I believe goals are for sissies. Set standards. And I'll ask you a funny question. When's the last time you smoked crack cocaine?
I never have.
Why?
Did you say why? Two reasons. One is it's just kind of not, I don't even drink Sprite, so it's just not part of my thing. And then number two, it would be below. It's just not who I am. It's just a part of the rhythm of my life.
So you set a standard for yourself,
sure.
And you don't even have to think about it.
For sure.
So we have these goals, and then we have to think about all these goals. No, set standards. If you set a standard, it's part of your identity. You will never go against your identity, ever. So, and I tell people, only set 3 standards for your marriage, 3 standards for your kids, and 3 for yourself. And so you get balanced with it. And you got to have a reward that is equal to the penalty. So there is leverage there. So my wife and I have a standard. We're all in on business. Everything, every time, no matter what. That is the standard. I don't even have to ask her for permission. I could literally call her right now and say, babe, I've got an opportunity in France. I got to take off. The plane leaves in 3 hours. She would call and say, do you want me to pack for you? Because the standard is we're all in. But we're also all in on our kids, and we're all in on our intimacy and our connection. So if the business standard is being met right now, she absolutely knows the second that's done that she's number one again. And we've never not been that way. So there aren't discussions and arguments. Even when we lost the house and the cars got foreclosed, and we're in bankruptcy, and we're on food stamps, we never argued one time about money. We knew we were both all in all the time. Some things went against us. We failed, but now we're better at it. And then we took off from that launching pad.
Oh, so good. That's so good. The standards versus the goals, and you're trying to remember, what are all my goals? You just set those standards. That is so good and so profound. I mean, I teach.
Have to think about being honest. Yeah. That's my standard. Okay, here's a perfect example. It's like you always meet these business friends. So I met this business friend a year ago. We were in the same line of work. We crossed paths speaking a couple times. And word got back to me that he'd asked a friend of mine to tell me um, to not talk bad about him. And I thought, that's never happened. I'm Switzerland. I'm neutral. You'll never hear me talk bad about anyone ever. So I called him. I said, hey, I just want to clear the air. Who said I said something bad about you? Well, I heard it from two different people. I said, let's get him on the phone. He goes, what do you mean? And I said, I know I didn't do it. So let's put a three-way call. This is my standard. I know I did not talk bad about you. He's like, well, I don't want to do that. I said, well, then you need to understand and accept the fact that I did not speak bad about you. He's like, if you're willing to get on a three-way call, I know you didn't. I said, great. And that integrity and authenticity. You don't ever have to worry about your name. You don't have to worry about how you show up. You're not going to see me post religious or political things online. You're not going to see me talk bad or tear someone down. It's not my standard. I don't believe in that.
Let me ask you this question. So I wrote a chapter in my book called "Be Unforgettable," and it's this idea of showing up and adding so much value for your customer, adding so much value for your client, adding so much value for your spouse, adding so much value for your children. It's adding so much value to the marketplace that the marketplace is like, yo, you're unforgettable. Like, you stand out from everybody else. This is you. In some of our coaching relationships and some of our and for sure as a friend, like, you're unforgettable. Woody Woodward is an unforgettable person, right? Your energy is unforgettable. You're an unforgettable person, and it comes. I've seen you do it. It comes because you seek to over deliver. In other words, you don't just try and do what you're paid for. You try and do more than you're paid for. Where did you get that philosophy? And first of all, is it present for you? Do you realize that you do this? Is it intentional for you, or is it just kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of is who I am? Is it intentional? And then where did that come from? And then how would we apply that? Like, how would you teach someone to over deliver, to be unforgettable?
That's a beautiful question. Thank you. I've had people who saved my life physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I would not be alive today if it wasn't for their input. I wouldn't be on social media. I wouldn't have had the success with the jewelry company if you didn't call me and give that love and that care and that kindness. You're going to get me choked up. And so for me, I want to have that small, tiny impact, that tiny ripple that they don't even know, that I don't even know about. Like okay, here's my favorite thing is not that anyone compliments me directly, that someone says, oh, I shared drive, it changed their life. I don't even care to be in the equation. I want to create things in the world that have such a positive impact that when I am dead and gone, other people are still benefiting. Because my life was changed by a phone call, a text, a hello. So to me, I don't even do it consciously anymore. I want to save people. Like, I just want to help people. I just genuinely want to make sure that they feel okay, because life is tough. And I don't want people to feel the pain I felt growing up. I don't want people to jeopardize their future because they don't want to live another day. So whenever I play all out. Like, I don't have an off switch. I play all out in everything I do. There's no small part of my life. It is all in all the time, only because I want to be there. It's out of pure love. I just want to help.
So do you feel like that is love the foundation for it? Is love the ultimate driver? Has it ever been other drivers for you? Or as you think back, even as you started your career, was it love that was driving the career?
Yeah, it really was. The first book I started to read was Chicken Soup for the Soul, because the stories were one page, and so I could memorize, read the one page, and then get the story. I could never read a novel because I can't keep the names, and I just couldn't, with my dyslexia, I couldn't keep the storylines together. So just reading that inspiration really set me on this path of helping other people. I could read one page, 2 pages, and I'm like, oh, that's a good thing. I could learn from this. I could become a better human being because of this. And here's an amazing story full circle. So I end up doing what I do, speaking training, and a mastermind setting. They asked me to film a documentary on it. It was called, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years, but they wanted me to film a documentary on this mastermind session. All the top speakers, trainers in the world were there. And Jack Canfield was there. I said, Jack, can I interview you? He's the one who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I'm having this massive moment, like, oh my gosh, I'm interviewing the guy who saved me, and he doesn't know it. And I told him, and he and I just broke down crying. And he's like, Woody, you're the reason I did this. I didn't know who you were. but you're
Mm.
why I did this. And I just lost it. I thought, I want to be that I want to help people who don't know me and I don't know them. And I just put goodness in the world and then their lives change. And so as soon as I had that conversation with him, I was like, it's all love, buddy. I'm like, I'll give you everything I have 24 hours a day because I just want to help.
Yeah. My friends, listen to this. This is important. Sometimes you think that the things that are disqualifying you from your success, all the failures, all the dyslexia, all the challenges, all of the depression, all of the people that made fun of you, all the pains, all the hurts, those are the things that are disqualifying you from your success. My friends, those are the things that are going to create your success. You're most equipped to go serve the person that you used to be. And you hear Woody's story, from food stamps to like bankruptcy to getting bullied at school to I can't read, my dyslexia is making me to where I can't read till I'm 19. And all of those create this incredible heart that he has to go serve and love and add value to people. So, sometimes you convert. I tell people you want to convert the hurt, the pain that you go through, you like convert it it goes like a conversion process. It's like a solar ray goes into a solar panel, and the solar panel is a converter. It converts from solar energy to electrical energy. It goes through a conversion process. So instead of this pain destroying your future, this pain is actually what drives your future. This pain is actually what creates your future because you converted it from pain to fuel to say, I'm going to serve more people so they don't have to go through the pain I did, or they don't have to experience what I did, or that I can be that one story that says, you kept me alive, or you kept moving me forward. Woody, it's so powerful. Talk more
Your
about
pain,
drive. We have a few minutes left.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say your pain becomes your passion.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what's so interesting about passion? You probably you've probably heard this. The passion, the actual Latin roots of the word passion. Passion means to suffer with. Passion literally means pain. So passion means to suffer with. So like the passion of the Christ means the suffering of Christ that he did for mankind, or a mother would have so much passion for her child that she'd be willing to give her life for 9 months to bear the child and give her a life to raise the child. Like that's passion, right? I'm willing to suffer with you. That's like I'm with you. That's not suffering. Is pain. Suffering is challenging. That's how passionate I'm about my business. I'm willing to go through the pain, through the suffering. So I love that. I love the simplicity of how you break that down. So with Drive, number one, tell us how I wanted them to hear how they can get access to it. I know you got some big things in the works right now, big things that are going to be really, really monumental for people that really dive into this stuff. But tell us more about Drive. Tell us how we can get access to understand our drive, and to your point, we start speaking other people's language. Because right now you might be listening and you have a 15-year-old son and you're just speaking a different language, and you can tell as a mom or you can tell as a dad you're not connecting the way you need to. Or maybe with that team member, they're a good person, but man, it feels like I cannot move them. I don't know how to help them, and it's creating friction in the relationship. Or maybe in your marriage right now, you're like, look, I love my spouse to death, but we are struggling. Like maybe it's just you just haven't learned yet what drives them and how to communicate and speak in essence their language. So Woody, to me, it's very important work, right? It's very important work. We all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to be understood. And what that means is you hear me, you feel me, you see me, you empathize with my language, right? So share with us more about Drive and how we can get access to this, some of this work that you're about to, that you're launching right now.
Yeah, no, I'll give you a quick context. So, and this goes back to how, enlisting the family. When I decided to become an author, my first book I wrote was called Millionaire Dropouts, Inspiring Stories of the World's Greatest Failures. Being a dropout, I was inspired by, so I read all these biographies. I cataloged over 1,000 people in the book. And so I'm in the middle of this, and my wife feels inspired to tell me, you should read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm like, babe, I can't read one more book. My brain is bleeding. I'm like exhausted. She goes, I'll take the kids, go to the library, and read. Second chapter, first page, left-hand side, there's a quote from Dr. John Dewey that says, the deepest urge in human nature is the desire to feel important. I thought, there's no way that's true. I gotta go prove him wrong. Now, he's been dead for 52 years, so I gotta go prove him wrong. In the process of trying to prove him wrong, I proved him right. So I interviewed thousands of people on what makes you feel important, not what's important to you. So all the
Mm,
personality assessments you find from Myers-Briggs, DISC, Color Code, all of them, they're all about what's important to you. we don't do what's important to us. We do what makes us feel important. Like family and work can be important to you. Family and work may not make you feel important. Doesn't mean you're a bad worker, doesn't mean you're a bad spouse. But we're motivated based on what makes us feel important, connected to ourselves, that highest level. So over the years, 20 years, I've researched and refined it and refined it. And I found that there's 5 personality types. And I call it the 20-80 rule, the opposite of the 80-20 rule. So take your fingers. You have a single drive. That's 20%. You alienate the other 80% of the people you talk to. And I got tons of research and statistics that in the sales process that most people sell is 20% because they close based on their drive. You learn the other 4 drive languages. You learn the other 4 drive languages, and you have the potential to increase your sales by 400%. And we've seen people do it, 200, 300% increase, simply because they're learning other people's drive, creating that reassociation based on their drive, not yours. And that's where true connection happens. It's healed marriages, connected kids to their families, increased sales. So to me, it is my life's work. And so we've revamped everything where I always kept it private. It was only for one-on-one clients. I've worked with top A-list celebrities to gold medal winners. But now I thought I want to bring it to the world. So we've revamped everything. So the website, they can just do it. It's totally free. You don't even have to put your email in. I wanted to give it away for free. DiscoverYourDrive.com. It'll launch March 22nd of 2024. DiscoverYourDrive.com. You go on there, you move the drive cards around based on what makes you feel important. It gives you a quick assessment. And then if you want the 57-page assessment that is so custom to your primary and secondary drive, then you put your name and email in. So we have 30 training videos. We have live webinars every Monday. So it's one of those things where we're really just trying to help the masses now.
So, my friends, you've probably heard me share this philosophy I raised my whole career on. Always do more than you're paid for as an investment in your future. So always, guess how often always is? Always is always, right? So
it's
always is not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, not when you wake up on the right side of the bed. Always is always. Always do more. Most people don't do what they're paid for. You don't want to do what you're paid for. You want to do more. Why? It's an investment in your future. So check this out. Remember I told you Woody is an over-deliverer? It's just part of his thing and part of his desire to serve, that heart of love. So you go to discoveryourdrive.com and it's a free assessment. You know what I'm saying? It's like the whole thing's free. Like talk about over-deliver. And then if you want to get a 57-page customized, so you're really like, oh, okay, oh my gosh, got it, see it, customized portfolio, it's still free. It's your email, right? The point I'm saying is, why not go take a couple minutes and start to understand this stuff so that you do start to close the other 80%. And by the way, when I say close, maybe not in a sales process, you start to open them up to, your deeper communication and your deeper love and, all that stuff. So Woody, I just love it, bro. By the way, the way you set it up, hey, I'll go give you this for free. Why? It's an investment in your future. It's Woody's saying, I'm going to invest in our relationship together I'll provide so much value. This is how every time I've been with him, this is how he is. I'll provide so much value that you'll gladly say, I want more. I'll give you my email for the 57-page. You'll get in and say, Woody, this is so valuable. I want to go deeper with you. That's how he's built his entire career. And Woody, it's one of the real great lessons. You don't say it, but you live it. This is it. This is you. And it's a great lesson that you teach.
Well, I appreciate that. And I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to give everyone a free gift who's watching. So I'll send it to you. I'll give you so you'll get the Drive Sales book. You can buy it on Amazon, but I'll give it to you right now for free ebook and the audio book and then a 25-minute training video. And I'll send you those links. I don't know if you were able to put it in an email or however your launch is.
Yeah, put it all in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they can all go and get it. I mean, because to me, it's the free to feed. It's a very simple concept. If you create enough value for other people, I think Zig Ziglar said this 60 years ago. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. To me, I just love people. I spent my life creating this intellectual property. I want to share it. If it creates value, reach back to me. We'll become partners. We'll do something fun together. But meanwhile, change your life, change your family. Here you go.
Love it. Brother, we could go for the rest
of
the day,
man.
And not even break a sweat. So I love you, man. I respect you a ton. You've been You've been a good friend in my good times. You've been a great friend in times when I was like, yo, bro, I need to have you talk me through this. So just respect you and love you and admire you. And I'm grateful to be able to share you with everyone. And
I'm honored. Honored.
yeah, just you're unforgettable. You're one of the unique ones.
As
So
well as you are,
I
my
love
friend. I
you.
thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me. And my friends, make sure you go to discoveryourdrive.com and go take your free assessment. Go start to understand this stuff, number one. And then number two, if you got some value, my friends, the way that this whole world works on the podcast world is reviews and subscribe and share, right? This is just, it's kind of it's free for you to do that, but that's the way that we say, hey, look, I got some value from this. So Woody, I love you, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Take care.